Fourth time with Myriad.
Hey.
Hey. Anna, what are we talking about?
Oh my gosh. This week we are going to be talking about getting into the gym. A lot of times having goals of how many classes you're maybe trying to attend. And specifically, we have something here at Myriad called...
Lean this way a little bit more. I'm nervous.
The class
There we go. Look at how we're closer together. So talking about the class clubs and what that looks like, what numbers look like, attendance, and just also kind of a topic of like how to do that in a healthy manner.
Yeah, totally.
And healthy for your body, but also healthy mentally from that perspective. So give me a little bit of history. Class clubs started when and why?
Class clubs started in 2021, and it was really an opportunity that we saw to help hold people accountable and give them goals to shoot for in terms of their consistency and coming to the gym. We have some members who are super consistent on their own, and then we have some folks who
need a little
assistance, need a little of that kind of gamifying almost the system to help them get in more consistently. Or you'll sometimes have those people who like come really consistently for 2-3 weeks in a row, and then all of a sudden they miss 2-3 weeks in a row. And just trying to help like stabilize people with those class clubs as targets for how often you're getting into the gym.
And to dive a little bit on that, we have a 100 class club, a 200 class club, and a 300 class club.
Yes.
I should have ran numbers, but 300 is 25 a month.
It's a little more than 25 a month.
200 is okay. 200 divided by 12. Somebody out there do that for us. And then 100 divided by 12. And that is going to be your number that we're shooting for on a rough average.
Yeah, I think 200 is like 18 or so a month. And then 100 is like 8 or so a month. Yeah.
Got it.
So.
We started this in 2021. The reason being is our data and system we use started becoming more accurate. Our tracking systems became more accurate. How we check people in became more accurate post-pandemic because we started checking people in more accurate. We've learned a lot of lessons as a business that we wish we would have been doing this since 2011 and had this data, because we do make a lot of decisions based on data, like classes, class attendance, when we're going to actually have different variations of times and such. So there are many people who have probably hit in these clubs from 2011 to 2021. So in that 10-year span, probably a ton of awesome attendance records. Unfortunately, we were just really bad at keeping those records.
Well, we also switched systems a couple times in there, and that makes it hard to move the data around.
So kind of going back, 2021, we kicked this off, 100, 200, 300. We had, I believe, 3 people the first year in the 300 club, or was it more than that?
Yeah, 3 or 4 in the first year. And every year it's grown a little bit. I think this last year we had 7.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
So I think we went from like 3 to like 5 to 7, from 21, 22 to 23. The other clubs have grown a little bit as well. So definitely can see as people like know about the thing, getting more into it. And I know some people who made the 100 club one year and they're like, okay, next year's I'm going for 200.
Yep.
So we've definitely seen some of that, and I am always able to let people know where they're at. So I do have some folks who check with me consistently throughout the year of like, hey, like where am I at with their attendance. So it definitely works in that realm of accountability for the people who like that and are into that.
And also something I wanted to call out was the exclusive limited edition. Only can achieve this level if you hit the 300 club. But we have an exclusive Myriad 300 North Face jacket, pullover, I guess you would call it. North Face pullover, quarter zip that you receive as a 300 club member. And every single person who's inducted into that gets one of those items.
They're very chic.
Yes, and then moving forward, if you continue to hit 300 club after 300 classes after being in there, we are actually, I'm putting this out there in the real world, but we're going to have plaques. I think I called it out earlier, but plaques here in the lobby that are going to show people what years they made it. So you can become a legend within the Myriad community by hitting 300 classes. So with all that being said, it feels like we've been very pushy, or at least I've been pushy about 300 Club and getting there. But let's talk about how that may not necessarily be for everyone, and also safe ways to do that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about like how that may not be for everyone and like what effects that can have.
Yeah, so I mean, first and foremost, not everyone has the time to get here 300 times in a year. If you are just coming to one class a day, that means you can only miss about 65 days. So that's not a ton of days that you can miss. So if you travel a lot, it may be hard to reach that club. We have had some people who like attend classes virtually to try to maintain and stay on top of things when they're traveling, but obviously travel affects it. I would say the other big thing is like if you do anything outside of the gym in terms of physical activity, it is also pretty tough to do that safely. So as an example, I play soccer outside of the gym, and that's a day of the week that I'm not going to the gym or not pushing as much in the gym on those weeks that I'm playing soccer. So that may affect you if you're someone who's doing a lot of like sports and activities outside of the gym. That may affect how often you're going to class. And then I would also say like most of the folks who are hitting that 300 number are people who've been with us for a longer period of time. So, you know, you may not start working towards the 300 club if you're newer to the gym and a fitness routine, just because it's a lot of classes on your body if you're not used to that kind of volume. So those would be kind of the things I would keep in mind if you're like, is it for me? Like maybe start with 100 or 200 as a goal. And then you can always build from there if you do want to try to achieve that 300 number.
Yeah. And then in that same realm, we have people who've been successful in this venture of 200, 300 class clubs by doing more than one class in a day.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how the variety, I should say, of our programs can lean well into that and serves well in that?
Yeah, so that's a great way, like if you're traveling or if you're taking more days off, which like you should always be taking days off from the gym. I firmly believe in full rest days where you're away from the gym. So to help make that happen, going to 2 classes in a day can be a way to get you towards that 300 number without having to be here every single day. And that might look like taking a boot camp class followed by a yoga class, or going to CrossFit in the morning and yoga in the evening. I would say most of our athletes who do 2-a-days are doubling up the classes like back to back rather than like a morning and an evening, but that is something that some folks have done depending on like your schedules. What I definitely encourage more 2-a-days along the lines of like a yoga class and a fitness class, just because that yoga class can be more of like a warm-up, getting you ready to go into your fitness class. Just think of it like a longer warm-up. Or it could be like a nice recovery option, especially if you're taking more of like a stretch or a restore class, rather than, you know, doing a really intense workout followed by another really intense workout in 2 different programs.
Yes. And we do have people, you know, myself included, who've done fitness classes like back to back. So doing like a boot camp class into a CrossFit class. I know when you and I trained competitively, that was like kind of something we would do. It was like, hey, I'm gonna jump in class, is like, you know, getting me ready for my competitive programming later on. What do you say? What would you say to someone who you know, does that from a fitness perspective? And I think you kind of alluded to this a little bit. I'm gonna sort of like lay this up for you, but you know, having done this for a while, or someone who does this for a while and understands and knows their body, you know, lightening the load, doing less reps, going lighter, using a barbell only, are different ways and opportunities to do that successfully.
Yeah, just moderating the intensity is definitely like what
better way to put it and sum it up.
Describe it is, yeah, like you're not going to be super effective doing 2 really intense workouts back to back. There's just not enough recovery time if you're, you know, taking CrossFit at 4 and then boot camp at 5. There's not enough time in there to like really recover unless you're a super, super fit individual. So for most people, that might look like choosing one workout or the other to be like a more intense day, whether that's, starting with the intensity or ending with the intensity. Like either option is totally there. And sometimes the workouts may lend themselves to being like more one or the other. Like if we're doing a lot of gymnastics in a CrossFit class that day, maybe that's your lower intensity, just like practicing some skill work. And then the boot camp class can be where you hit it hard. Throwing weightlifting in there as well is another way to kind of double up the classes. And maybe it's working on your technique on the barbell and then taking a boot camp or a CrossFit class or vice versa. But again, just being aware that if you're doing 300 plus classes in a year, you're probably going to need to moderate your intensity. You may also need to say like, hey, this body part is feeling a little beat up. Like let's adjust this movement to be as safe as you can.
I would also add there, just lean on us as coaches and the experts in this field. Ask us questions, any of the coaches, if you do have any when it comes to modifying movements. Last piece here I do want to throw out there is if you are interested in learning how many classes you have taken, just email info@myriadfit.com and Anna can shoot you a quick little message and say like, hey, this is where you're at right now. Can they find it in Pike 13?
You can if you want to individually count your class history, but there's not like a number. At least at this point, there's not like a summary page as far as I know. But if you're looking for 100 classes or so, that's really annoying. Just scroll through and count one by one.
Email us because we can pull the back end.
I get a data report. It's much easier than individual line by line counting.
Love it. Awesome. We're done.
Go. Finish.